These genealogy websites create DNA databases which can be valuable to researchers and police. But do they compromise your privacy? Off a busy Racine County road, inside Holy Family Catholic Cemetery, rests the body of a young woman.
She's been labeled as a Jane Doe all of these years.
Unidentified since her body was found in a cornfield in July of 1999.
She was brutally raped and murdered, tortured.
Sheriff Christopher Schmeling says for 19 years, investigators searched for Jane Doe's identity. And now, CBS 58 Investigates learned there's new hope after police in California used a public genealogy site to solve a decades-old crime.
I've always said this, DNA is a silent witness to the truth.
The Golden State Killer, who police say is responsible for several rapes and murders in the 70s and 80s, was identified after investigators uploaded the suspect DNA to GED Match. The site lets users upload their DNA profiles and matches them with relatives. In the California case, it matched police with a relative of the killer, leading to an arrest.
It's very exciting.
Sheriff Schmeling now wants to compare Jane Doe's DNA with samples submitted to genealogy sites, with the hope that one of her relatives is in the database.
So we're working with our county's lawyers to find out what legalities do we face.
When investigators in California used GED Match, the site was intended only for people to upload their own DNA profiles. Criminal defense attorney Julius Kim says the use of these sites by police is new legal territory.
When law enforcement accesses those databases, it might be contrary to a particular company's rules, but the question is whether it amounts to a constitutional violation, and I'm not sure it does. Those are things that are going to have to be worked out through the court system.
Some sites like GED Match are public and have you submit a DNA profile you already have. Other sites, though, like 23andMe and Ancestry DNA, give you these kits. They have you submit a saliva sample, then they generate your DNA profile. They tell you about your heritage and connect you with other users of the site who could be your relatives.
So here's like your chromosomes.
Blake Welter used 23andMe.
There was a privacy statement somewhere, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I didn't read it too in depth, to be honest.
Welter says he did know he was giving up genetic information, but didn't really think about how it could impact DNA relatives until the California case.
I never thought about that way.
CBS 58 Investigates found there are not clear-cut laws about your privacy rights when it comes to your DNA, and every genealogy site has its own rules. In its policies, 23andMe and Ancestry DNA state investigators need a warrant for DNA. As of now, both sites indicate they've never turned any genetic information over to police, but experts say it could only be a matter of time.
Whenever we have a high-profile case, then suddenly everyone starts utilizing something that was successful in one case.
While everyone we spoke to is relieved a serial killer is off the streets, Dr. Alta Shero, a law professor at UW-Madison who researches bioethics, says the case could have negative consequences.
Every time we give people the impression that the information may be turned against somebody else or against them, we discourage people from participating in what I think is going to be a 21st century necessity.
A necessity because many genealogy sites allow the DNA information to be used by researchers.
There's tremendous value to be found in accessibility of databases for things like public health research, genetic epidemiology, discovering hints to new drug therapies.
Dr. Shero says to protect your privacy, when you give a DNA sample to a genealogy site or even a hospital, make sure you know exactly how it will be used.
A lot of those things are important things, and I encourage people to say yes.
Experts tell CBS 58 Investigates they do expect more regulation when it comes to DNA.
I think that this is an area that we're going to see a further development of the law.
And GED Match already changed their policies in the wake of the Golden State Killer arrest. Now the site allows law enforcement to submit DNA to find suspects of violent crimes and identify remains like those of Jane Doe.
We might be able to track her last steps that many years ago and who she was with and where she was at, and that might lead to a suspect.
The founder of GED Match declined to do an interview. Now that site and a lot of other genealogy sites do allow users to delete their information from the site, but there's no way to know who's already obtained that information. Reporting in studio, Kristen Barbarisi, CBS 58 News.